the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
You.
Oh, it's just me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Where are we going?
Because
Where are we starting here, Ryan
on your
Schumpert?
side too. The Carson Sneed, your take on the podcast or on the show today was that Carson Sneed, it's like really important for Tennessee to hold on to Carson Sneed. Couldn't disagree more. Oh. In fact, at this point, and this is a little bit of a common man take, I will say, I'm not even sure I'm not just cutting the kid. I mean, I'm not actually cutting the kid, but this is nonsense. This kid, this low 4-star, thinks he is just who's been committed for this long, in-state kid is just taking all these ridiculous number of visits. It's just like, dude, if you want to leave. You're not good enough to be doing all this. Sorry. Tennessee signed 2 4-star tight ends in their last class. I continue, even in 12 personnel off with no good receivers last year. What, Tennessee's Miles Kitselman had like 400 yards, maybe? Even in the most we have seen a Josh Heupel offense lean on the tight ends, it's very minimal. It's a very lesser important position on the offensive side of the ball. No, it is definitively the least important position on the offensive side of the ball in Josh Heupel's offense. Not even close. The cut him stuff, that's, a little too far. I don't actually think they should do that, but it's just take it or leave it. I don't really care. I don't really care. If he wants to go to Tennessee, great. If I'm Tennessee, I'm certainly not upping my offer at all to this kid. It's just, if you want to come here, great. If not, go somewhere else. Stop taking visits. Stop the nonsense. I mean, I'd be so sick of it.
Wow. I didn't think this was going to have to do with Carson Sneed. I will say part of it is I do think Carson's a good player, and I think Carson would be, can I say that he's kind of a hybrid to me, because I think he plays tackle too at his school.
Also plays incredibly small private school football.
Hold on, so does Jesse Perry, and Jesse Perry is going to be a swing guard maybe for Tennessee. And let's just get him on campus and see how he handles things. And your point about getting 2 4-stars in the last class and Deshaun Brame and Jack Van Dorselaer is an important one. I think they really need Cole Harrison to be a bridge guy and come on strong this year as the Miles Kitselman replacement next year, because you don't want to go in super young, because one of those guys might redshirt. I have a hard time believing with how much is in front of Brame and Van Dorselaer that they don't end up at least one of those guys don't end up redshirting.
Agree. If
Ethan Davis stays healthy all year and Kitselman comes back as we expect him to early on. I will say, the thing that Tennessee is in a tough bind with Carson Sneed is like Moose Ledwig, the only other name that really popped up at tight end for them this spring, committed to Michigan in May. So there's just no one, we're in a dead period here for the next 2 months, and things will pick back up late fall. But I just don't want Tennessee to be in a spot where now that they are way more of a 12 personnel type team, and I think they are putting more emphasis clearly on the tight end position and winning that way, that you just can't have a Derek Dooley no tight end class.
I think you can. Let's not compare one position, a tight end, to a Derek Dooley no offensive lineman, 5 starters. That's a terrible comparison.
It's in the family. You can't do it.
Portal. There's also this thing called the transfer portal. I don't know if you've heard of it. You can so easily get by without taking a tight end in the class. So easily.
You don't know if Brame and Van Dorselaer are locked in after this year. You don't know what Cole Harris. Everything's a year-to-year sport, so you have to keep stacking bodies and plan for the worst.
But but the year-to-year sport aspect, if you think Carson Sneed's coming in and contributing as a true freshman, I got news for you, buddy.
No, not as a true freshman, but you need... they're going to need a transfer tight end no matter what anyway after this season. You have to have a transfer.
You can't say it's year to year and then act like not getting a prep tight end is a big deal. That's my thing. You can't have it both ways.
Also, he said Heupel compared him to that really good Mizzou tight end from years ago when Heupel was there. Alberto.
Yes, the super long last name.
Yes.
Crazy long last name.
He was a freshman All-American. Was in the NFL, obviously, but clearly Heupel and Ablin see something in him and want to keep him in the class and everything else. So I don't know. They've mostly hit there. Tennessee's done a good job identifying and developing tight end. I think they're Miles Kitselman was a huge win for them in the evaluation department. I think they maximized. They got every last ounce out of Jacob Boren as a tight end. I think they utilized Princeton Fant in a really unique, interesting way. He's still in the NFL. So I think Heupel and Ablin do a good job of identifying tight ends who can help them, even if they're 3 stars, 4 stars, whoever. I think they do a really good job of identifying. When we have some questions about how they're building the roster on the offense in some ways, Abelin, I think, has been a solid addition, and I think he's done pretty well. And I just think he needs to hold on to Sneed here. I just put him in the room, and I just want to see what happens. I think Carson Sneed could be a good player for Tennessee down the line.
Yeah, and I mean, look, like when I'm being completely legit,
I want willing blockers in Tennessee, basically, more than anything. Because Alec Abelin, former offensive lineman at Mizzou, they asked their guys to block. Part of the reason that Ethan Davis has not been more of a factor, I think, to this point, is he hasn't been a willing blocker. So for me, Carson Sneed having that background where he's playing some tackle, I think he's a good fit. I think Carson Sneed would be good in this offense.
Yeah, and again, like when I'm being more objective about it and not just doing a little bit of a shtick, like, yeah, sure, you want him, you want to keep him, obviously, but it's just not that big a deal. You were making it out to be like they're in a lot of trouble if they can't keep him. I don't think that's true.
I meant they're in a lot of trouble for 2026.
Very off-putting. I found the entire thing very off-putting from a low 4-star tight end.
How's the rest of the show?
All due respect to Carson if he's listening.
How was the rest of the show for you today? Any more off-putting comments?
Entire thing.
Okay.
No, I mean, when I was listening, I thought the baseball talk was good. Recapping the College World Series, I thought I texted Caleb notes. I don't think he brought it up. Ryan Galaney was a kid from Wofford. He was
Ryan Galaney. That's the one I could not think
of. Actually, Galani, I think is how you pronounce it. I think I learned that it was actually Galani like a year after like last offseason cycle. I'm pretty sure it's when I learned that.
Tennessee tradition. Santi not telling anyone it's actually Vescovy for years down the line. Mandy Marin, we're just all not calling him his correct last name. It's just it's a Tennessee tradition.
Yeah, it is. So no, I mean the show was good. I enjoyed the parts I was listening. I did do, and I got brought back in. They pulled me back in, but when you went to break and you were like, and when we come back, it'll be Tennessee football recruiting. I hit the Jerry Seinfeld. I'm out. I'm out.
There's nobody who hates off-season Tennessee football talk quite like Ryan Schumpert. He hates it because he knows it's going to dominate his life for like 5 months straight. He wants no part of it. Ryan is and I could talk Tennessee football and Tennessee recruiting every day and never get tired of it. But Ryan, it's just, the man wants to do nothing more. He is so excited for this dead period over the next 2 months. But yeah,
I can actually I can do it more so now, especially like football when we're talking about next year's team. I'm completely cool doing it now now that baseball season's over. It's the middle of basketball season that it gives me issues. Acting like anything that happens at spring practice actually matters from like our standpoint. Obviously, the actual stuff on the field matters some. That's the stuff that's exhausting.
Well, you mentioned the baseball talk, and I wanted to get your perspective, and we'll talk about it more on Fox Sports Knoxville Fan Run Radio tomorrow in studio, Ryan Schumpert. But as a prelude here, and this is something we kicked off the show, and I think we're on the same page here about why it's so important that Tennessee added Henry Ford to this class. It's just, he's obviously the number one transfer portal addition and transfer portal target, but there's not another big fish out there right now. And the portal closes here in a week and a half, and Tennessee has a lot of...
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.